What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Rokundo coming back at you with another video. Today we're gonna do my final mock draft. We are just almost a week away from the 2025 NFL draft, and the Atlanta Falcons with the 15th pick. We'll start it up, kick it off, and we'll see where they go from there. All intents and purpose, we think they're going defense. However, for the last 4 years, we also thought they were going defense. So we really don't know where to go here when we're thinking about our Atlanta Falcons. But guys, I'm really excited about this mock draft. Um, kind of went in different directions. Kind of pick some of the, you know, from the last previous drafts, picking guys that you know and things like that. I kind of went, you know, a little different directions. However, on this draft, I went completely defense still. Also, as I made a trade in this draft as well, was able to get another second round pick. So I like um this draft. I really like it. If this is what the Atlanta Falcons end up with, you know, on the 24th, that weekend of the draft, I would be really happy about these moves that I made. Right, I'm acting as Terry Fontenot today, and I want you guys to give me your opinion of where you think um how I did on this draft. Um, Also, we're going to talk about a couple of news, a lot of rumors that's out there right now, and get your thoughts on that as well. So, with that being said, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here that I talk about. And please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get into my mock draft today. Um, Definitely going to share my screen. So hold on just a minute. Share. All right, guys. Hope you can see where I'm going with this. If not, I'm just going to call out everybody. So, um, you actually get to see what I'm talking about today in this mock draft. It's the final mock draft. Atlanta Falcons had 5 picks to go. Um, I was able to trade with the Los Angeles Chargers for 22 for number 15, and I gave them 218, and they gave me pick 55. So I was able to get another second round pick to go along with 46, and I had to bite on that. I moved down 7 spots, but I still feel like I got a solid player here, and definitely going to be interested to see what you guys. I think I actually, when you're looking at this draft overall, I think I actually got good quality at each position, and I also believe I filled some needs at each position as well. So let's break it down and see what we're talking about. So at number 22, due to the trade with the Los Angeles Chargers, the Atlanta Falcons select Walter Nolan, a guy that played 3 tech at his college. However, looking at his versatility, probably could maybe play 0 through 5 tech, giving the defensive coordinator a lot of versatility. This guy sits, 21-year-old guy, 296 pounds, 6.5 sacks, 48 tackles, ran under 5. He ran a 4.95 in his 40. That big. Explosive step allows him to be offensive lineman, you know, during that rep. Relentless motor. You're going to hear that a couple of times on guys that I drafted today. Relentless motor. He has a nasty demeanor in the trenches. That's definitely what you want to see from a defensive tackle. Natural feel for pass rush. He already has that natural feel, right? 6.5 sacks kind of give you that. More sacks than Shamar Stewart had, you know, in all his years combined. Watson Nolan had this just in 2024. Lateral agility, change of direction. This guy is I think because of his youth, just being 21-year-old. I think working with the coaches, I think he's just starting to scratch the surface here, and I think he can really, really be solid for us. We lost Grady Jarrett. We got David Amayada, is still here, a veteran, but you compare this guy up with Aruk Roro. I like this a lot. This is going to be able to help us stop the run. His ability to rush the passer already, just have that natural feel, I think is really good. And if Walter Nolan there at 22, I don't see why the Atlanta Falcons don't pull him off the board. Looking at some of the pass rushers that we probably wanted was already off the board. Like I said, I moved down 7 spots, but I felt like I can get a pass rusher in the second round, and I was able to do that. So, filling the trenches, yes. One thing about this defensive line this year, even if we do not go out and get a what's going on, Earl Jones? Even if we don't go out and get, you know, a pass rusher, a young guy, this defensive line is gonna be young anyway, right? It's all about the youth this year. Like I said, it's gonna be about development. You guys heard me say this in so many other videos that I have shot. But the Atlanta Falcons is young. They're gonna be a young defense. It's just that simple. And it's time for the development to take place. Some of these guys going their third year. A guy like Taquan Graham going into his fifth year, right? So you're looking at guys like that. This is where guys got to start, to take hold. But bringing in Walter Nolan is another young guy. I just like the way that this is going to be. So that's why I went with Walter Nolan here at pick 22, trading down 7 spots with the Los Angeles Chargers, picking up another pick in the second round, number 55. Right. So with the second pick, the Atlanta Falcons, in the second round, this Atlanta Falcons own pick at number 46, I was able to get Donovan Izaruka. And this guy here actually had the second most sacks in college football, of course, next to Mike Green, right? Mike Green was already off the board. He was actually picked in the top 10 in this mock draft. So definitely was not going to be able to get him. And I'm afraid that's going to be the scenario for us this year. I know we've been Mike Green been mocked to Atlanta Falcons a couple of times. So if that's the case, we might miss out on him because, like he was the leading sack. Yes, he went to the University of Marshall. However, don't matter where you go, it's matter what you can do, what they see on tape. And a lot of people like what they seen from Mike Green. So, but this guy here was second with sacks, 16 and a half sacks. He's 6'2", 248 pounds, 3 forced fumble. He had 80 tackles last year. This guy is a masterful technician already, right? He got all the moves. He has that natural being, explosive first step. We all this stuff. Relentless motor. Same thing we talked about with Walter Nolan, right? He has multiple moves already, and he shows that flexibility. Now, maybe in the run game, he probably have to work a little bit, but this is what we want. We wanted a pass rusher, added to that pass rusher, group that we already have with Armor Ebiketie. That we brought in, the veteran pass rusher that we got. We got bringing in Braylon Trice coming back. So I like this. I like adding Donovan Izaruka. I really like adding him to the table. And I think getting him in the second round, he's still there at number 46, would be really, really good for the Atlanta Falcons. So, this is what I'm talking about, guys. I think if the Atlanta Falcons can nail the first 2 picks, like I said, it's going to be young, but being young, hey, sometimes that's where you have to go with it. So Walter Nolan at 22, moving down 7 picks with the Los Angeles Chargers, and then coming back in the second round, number 46, able to get Donovan Izaruka, the second leading sack getter in college football in 2024. So I'm looking good right now. And if I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm feeling good. I can't wait to come out and talk to you guys, the media and things like that, and give you what I think about the moves I have made so far, right? But I got another pick in the second round. So before I do that, I got to make my other pick. The being able to get that number 55 pick from the Los Angeles Chargers, I was able to get Trey Amos, right? Another need that Atlanta Falcons need. We still don't know about that nickel position, but you're looking at a guy like Trey Amos, ran a 4.43, 6'1", 195 pounds. He had 3 interceptions, 13 pass defenses, and he 50 tackles. This guy is great in press man, right? Great in press man. Great speed. Like I said, he ran a 4.43, explosive plant. You can see it on film where he's getting out his break and really, really explosive. Um, he can mirror receivers really well. He's natural at that pattern recognition, being able to do that. One thing is really good. He's a great tackler as well, coming down, with that frame, the 195-pound frame, with the speed. It'll be interesting to see, what our defensive coordinator Jeff Albrecht decide to do. Do we play more zone? But if you have to man up in press coverage, I think Trey Emmons can definitely do that. Um, the speed is there, the physicality is there. Like I said, he's really good at mirroring guys. Um, so I like this. I like this move as well. And guys, so far, I don't know what you guys giving, but I'm giving myself an A with Watch Nolan, Izaruka, and Trey Amos. All these guys are just something that the Falcons could use going forward. And then when we talking about grades for a draft, because when you grade and draft like right after the draft, it's stupid anyway. But I think the Atlanta Falcons so far get an A with these guys that we got on the board so far. At number 118, this is also Atlanta Falcon pick in the fourth round. The Atlanta Falcons select Billy Bowman. Yes, safety. Guys, 5'10", 192 pounds, 2 interceptions, 3 pass defense, 85 tackles. Great ball pro. This is somebody that you want to go. You go look at his tape. You can see the ball skills that he has, right? This is what you want. Somebody that's going to be able to be a ball hawk, a guy that runs really, really fast as well. In the 40. I think he ran a 4.42, right, as a safety, right? 192 pounds, 5'10", 4.42. Great ball recognition. That's one thing you're going to look. He's really good in zone. That's bread and butter for a guy like Raheem Morris, what he's trying to bring to the table. And he understands route recognition. So this guy right here, I know we just, brought in Jordan Fuller. We got Dark Marco Helms coming back as well. But bringing in a guy like this, somebody that has great ball skills to go along with Jesse Bates, who also have those great ball skills that, he can take under his wing. This was another need for us safety. We did address it in free agency with Jordan Fuller, but doubling down once again, with the young DeMarco Helms and the Billy Bowman, I think this is going to be a good pick as well. Also, one good thing about him, he played a lot of special teams as well, over 400 snaps on special teams. So a rookie come in, can contribute to the team right away. If he don't see any playing time because he playing behind a couple of safeties, but his ability to actually, attack the ball, be really aggressive. Yes, I know it's like 2 interceptions, but if you watch him on film, you watch the speed, the ground he's able to cover. This is something that to me is where a guy like Jeff Albrecht would like, right? The speed in the secondary. Of course, you want speed at linebacker position. You want speed. When you got speed on the field, when you got a Trey Amos coming in running 4.43, you got a Billy Bowman coming in running 4.42. Right, you're adding speed to your secondary, and I really like that. So, so far, guys, I'm still at an A, probably an A plus with these 4 picks. And then to round it off, guys, yes, I got my Georgia quota in, and I think Atlanta Falcons just need to do this every year. We kind of lost out last year. We picked a defensive tackle from Georgia last year, but since he was not on the 53-man roster, he was on the practice squad, he got poached by the Buffalo Bills, right? So hopefully Nazir Stackhouse can actually stay with the team this year. Hopefully he made the 53-man roster, and maybe it could be some room for him. Guy who's 6'4", 327 pounds. Um, he only had 27 tackles, but this guy here, when you watch him on the film, the way he stacks up the offensive line and creates that havoc right in the middle. Um, he's a great tackle, really good in run fits, really disruptive, being able to recognize, running lanes and reads and things like that, and just blowing up plays when you watching the Zero Stackhouse play. Of course, when you're looking at a guy like him going to a school like Georgia, you're going to be playing behind a lot of people. So, not a lot of reps, but I think, the pedigree coming from Georgia, the size at 327 pounds, 6'4", I think he could be really, really good for Atlanta Falcons here in the near future. You bringing in a Walter Nolan, you're bringing in a Nazir Jackhouse. Like I said, you're gonna probably lose a Yada. You're probably gonna use a Contavious Street. You might even lose a Taquan Graham. So just bolstering up that defensive line. Once again, last year, the Atlanta Falcons kept 8. Yes, you heard me right. 8 defensive tackles. I can see that doing that again. Yes, we got Brandon Dorless, who we brought in last year, who really needs to start to get some playing time. You brought in Ruko Roro. You got Zach Harrison, right? I just added Walter Nolan. Also, I added Nazir Stackhouse, right? To go along with those veterans, they Yada, Contavious Street, and Taquan Graham. So that's where we're at. I like the draft. I really want to get you guys input on this. Let me know where you guys feel like am I crazy for saying that I got an A, or do you guys think that I hit it on the nose? Right, completely a defensive draft. Right, no offensive guys, strictly trying to bolster up our defense. One thing we know about our defense, it's going to be a young defense. What's interesting, the offense is going to be young as well. So, right, we got some young superstars on offense. Only veterans over there is the guys on the offensive line, which is definitely what we need, right? But we got some young superstars on offense, and we're gonna have a lot of young guys on our defensive front, especially that front seven. So it's all about development this year, guys. I hope you understand that. And I know the coaching staff do. That's why you got a good coaching. This year is going to really determine how good the coaching staff we got, because we got a lot of young talent, no big name guys, or nothing like that. So that's what we need to be starting to focus on. And I really believe that if Atlanta Falcons can get something similar to this, going into the 2024 draft, it helps them for the future, right? Because eventually you got to start paying those really, really good offensive players on the offensive side of the ball, and you need young draftees to start to step up, so you won't have to you can build your team the right way. It's just that simple. So that's where I'm up with it. Give me your grade on my last final mock draft for 2024, and let's see how many I actually land. You know, More than likely, probably none of these going to be, because that first pick, if the Atlanta Falcons don't move back, is going to be somebody else. But if they do decide to move back in the draft, maybe even the 21, right? Maybe, a situation where a guy like Shadir Sanders started to slide. Pittsburgh Steelers want to try to get him, so they move up, 6 spots and take Shadir Sanders at number 15, maybe something like that. So we'll see what happens. But at some point in time, um, we're going to know for sure what the Atlanta Falcons do in this draft. So, guys, please give me your thoughts, and let's move on to the next topic of the day. All right, so next topic of the day is just going to be news and rumors. Some news and rumors about Atlanta Falcons going around. I think the biggest news today is the fact that Jalen Ramsey, the Miami Dolphins, to think about, you know, trading him, right? and I think it's $21 million on his cap hit this year. If you're looking at Jalen Ramsey. So, with that being said, we know the familiarity he has with Raheem Morris. Bringing in the Jalen Ramsey to pair him over AJ Terrell would be really, really good. However, I just don't see it, in the cards for Atlanta Falcons. Um, you know, having boosting your secondary is a way to help your pass rush. We do know that. So that wouldn't be something that's really, really out of the ordinary. We're thinking about the Atlanta Falcons deciding to alter their pass rush, right? By going secondary. Right. That's why we pick a safety. We pick the corner in the draft I just did. But bringing in, um, Jalen Ramsey, once you just brought back Mike Hughes, I think would be a little overkill, even though you will be better. You will be 100% better. But paying that dollar, that money, that much money for Jalen Ramsey, then more than likely you're going to want a contract extension. So, and then what do the Falcons have to give up and trade, right? So it's a lot of scenarios here. I know it sounds good to bring him in, familiarity with, the coach and things like that, but I just don't see it feasible. Yes, it would be a good idea to bring in Jalen Ramsey, but you know, everybody always trying to, find the ties with teams and things like that. Even what Jalen Ramsey had to say about Raheem Morris, he thought he was a great coach. He spoke really highly of him. So we know they have a good relationship, but at the same time, I think it just would not be feasible for the Atlanta Falcons to trade for him. They don't have the draft capital. They don't have the means to trade. And then looking at the cap sheet, due to the fact that we still got, you know, Captain Kirk still on our team, it would be really hard to fit him into that cap situation. So there you have it. That's one of the rumors that's out there for the Atlanta Falcons. The other rumor, news that's out there, is that Matthew Judon might not be done with the Atlanta Falcons yet, right? So we just talked about, bringing in Leonard Floyd. We got Armory Abikadi. We're talking about Braylon Trice coming back. Um, if we go get in my draft, we just did Izaruka. We get him right. Um, that's your pass rush. D'Angelo Malone still on the team, but bringing in a veteran like Matthew Judon maybe could help. I think it. I don't see why it would be an issue if the money is right. Right, the more pass rusher, the better. He did start to come on towards the end of the season. I mean, just the fact that Atlanta Falcons going into that bye week, I think had like 9 or 10 sacks, and then coming out, they ended up with like 31 sacks. So for some reason, the Atlanta Falcons was able to turn their pass rusher down. They started to really get after the quarterback after that. Um, you know, Word on the street that Raheem Morris started to get more involved in the defense. And if that's the case, you can really see it start to trend up in the right direction. But, maybe a little too late. Maybe should have got involved a little bit earlier. I know when he came in, he said he wanted to be the CEO of the team. He was going to let his defensive coordinator coordinate and offensive coordinator coordinate. But sometimes when you got, expertise in certain things, you got to start putting your hand in the pot, and maybe he did it a little too late. But Matthew Judon was part of that, that surge that the Atlanta Falcons was able to get um, later on in the season. So there you have it. Bring in Matthew Judon back, add him to the pass rush, and then we can do it just like Leonard Floyd said. It'd be like a basketball team, sub in and sub out, and just be a whole bunch of fresh bodies getting after the quarterback. So if it's the money's right, he wants to still be Atlanta Falcon, bring Matthew Judon back. I do not have an issue with that. And I hope you guys don't either. I'm just interested to see your mindset and your thought on that as well. All right, the last rumor news that's out there is Kurt might be here to stay. Right, we know about it. Um, Looks like maybe the trade market may be drying up for him. If you look at around quarterback needs teams where Kirk Cousins' desire to start just no longer there, right? Even the teams that brought in quarterbacks for 1 or 2 years, right? They might actually go out and draft quarterbacks. Look at the Giants. Word on the street they're going to select or do a quarter. So if they do that, I still anticipate the Giants coming back in the second round, picking a quarterback, maybe a Jackson Dart, Jalen Miro, somebody like that. Um, Same thing with um, the Cleveland Browns, right? They hired and brought back Joe Flacco. I say hired, might well say hired because he's up there. And got Kenny Pickett on the roster. I still think they need a quarterback, but most people feeling like they can't pass up on a generation talent and Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. So that's why you think they might go back in the draft as well. Guy like Tyler Shook, you know, that's where you can see them coming back and trying to pull that trade off to get him. So um, that's the way I feel about it. I do believe that the he might actually just be a backup quarterback for us. No, that's not the situation. A lot of people was anticipating. A lot of people might not even want. I always had been on record saying that I believe that Kirk Cousins won't be bad for the locker room. I think he will be a professional. I think he would definitely help Michael Penix out. Do he want to start? Yes. Do he feel like he got a raw deal? Probably so. But contract is a contract. The Atlanta Falcons still owe Kirk Cousins $37 million, right? 27 something this year, and then 10 million for the roster bonus that he got after the new league year this year for 2026. So um, I wouldn't release him. And right now, if he released, what team is going to pick him up? Now, a lot of teams may pick him up because they don't have to foot the bill, but those teams was going to have to foot the whole bill anyway. So I really don't really don't understand why somebody would have big concern about paying a lot for Kirk Cousins, right? Atlanta Falcons just want some kind of draft capital back in return. That's really what they want. And if they hold on long enough, teams start to get desperate during the season, injuries and things like that. Maybe they might have an opportunity to trade Kirk Cousins if he decides, to waive his no trade clause. So that's where the situation would be. Maybe started the season, his family's in school and things like that. Maybe he would not want to uproot his family, do something like that. So that's where it is right now at this point in time. You're looking at Kurt. Um, Maybe still happens before the draft or right after the draft, like I anticipated. But it just the spots, the destinations are starting to dry up, and that's why you know the Atlanta Falcons might have one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league in Kirk Cousins. So guys, there you have it today. Real short video came out. I want to do my last final mock draft. And guys, I took Walter Nolan. I took Donovan Izaruka. Took Trey Amos. I took Billy Bowman. And I took the Nazir Stackhouse. Got my Georgia quota in. Um, Still give myself an A. Definitely want to hear from you guys. Give me your draft grades on my final draft for the Atlanta Falcons. Um, and let me know about what you think about a guy like Matthew Judon coming back, trading for Jalen Ramsey, giving him a big contract because that's probably will have to be the case. And then the most expensive and best backup quarterback in the NFL, and Kirk Cousins. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.